Welcome to Stu's How To's. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the replica Rickenbacker C58 review. I did do a part 1, which just had me playing it before I painted it and did all the mods, and it sounded just awful. And now I've done a lot of stuff to it, and we'll just go through a little bit of things I did to make it seem more like Lennon's 58, and I'll tell you some of the things I did and some of the things I haven't done. Some of the things that I've done is I've found the Burns knobs. I could have gone with the toaster oven, but I decided to go with Burns knobs, and I got these a long time ago. I've always wanted a guitar like this, so I got these knobs about 5 years ago, and I included the link to the shop in my blog post down below that talks about this guitar and the whole process I went through in making it a bit different. And so when they have knobs, they'll be up on the site. I also have the extended Pickguard, and it comes down. And this one I ordered, again, links in the blog. And I ordered it white because I'm a cheapo. I didn't want to get a gold one, which was 10 more bucks. I just painted this after I taped some paper to it. So it looks alright for stage, but up close it looks you can see the paint marks and everything, the brush strokes. I disconnected the middle pickup. And that's where that movie came in, that little clip of me disconnecting. That was this one. I have the same tailpiece that came in on it. I haven't replaced that. I don't think I will, just because it's not that big of a difference with the actual 58. But I did move it back a tiny bit. I did add wood to the back, and I didn't router it out. I was in a hurry, and I forgot I should probably have routed out the guitar, because all the Chinese guitars which I've gotten for Rickenbacker have all been solid body pretty much, except for my 12 string that's been hollow just up at the top, it looks like. So I should have routed it out before gluing on the back, but I didn't, and the paint job's not so good on the back, but it doesn't really matter to me because it's now 2 inches thick and it looks real good. I used Bondo to seal in the groove between the two, and I sanded it down, and I also sharpened the horn a little bit. I put Bondo on that, and I made it and so it wouldn't curve so much, because it looks like the 58, at least in pictures, it's a bit sharper than the Chinese ones. And I worked on the heel a little bit, but I didn't get it exactly right. There'll be pictures of all of these modifications step by step in the link in the description on my blog. So and I have the Bigsby bow tie bridge. Now I just took this in for a fret job. Because I had taken it in, I had some buzzing beforehand, and the guy who did it the first time did not a very good job on it. So what I did is I took it into a different shop, and it ran me 60 bucks, and he just leveled all the frets, made sure they were nice and clean. Now they're all super shiny, and then he worked on my my bridge a little bit. So it's actually upside down because I'd already cut grooves in it, but I didn't do it all so well. So he fixed that for me. So there's a little difference for you. Mine's upside down, but it still plays beautifully. As for the headstock, I did make it a bit more pointed. I may be sanding it down a tiny bit more, just because it's a bit too dramatic. I went a little bit overboard on that, but it'll be alright no matter what I choose. And then I put on the open back Grover tuning heads. Again, the link will be on the blog post. And then I put flat wound strings on it. And this guitar, unlike my 64 replica, I put 12s on, so they're a bit heavier, and there's a bit of a rattle you can hear when I'm playing live and stuff. You can hear the rattle if you're up close, but from the amp and stuff, there's no buzzing, there's no of that rattle. And I worked on the nut a little bit because I did wanted thicker strings, so I boosted the nut up, and then I filed it down to find that difference between the really thick strings and not, because it seems that the nut is made for the strings that they put on there in China, and as far as I can tell, those are no heavier than 11s, so they usually put on 10s or 11s. But I have 12s on this one, and it's a really nice guitar. I painted it too. That took a little bit, just with spray paint and everything, just lacquered it. And John Lennon's, his was painted with brush strokes. You can read up about it. They painted it by brush. So mine's actually probably in better condition than his was. Paint-wise, you can see there's a little bit of a You can see it's not all too fancy, but it gives more of authenticity to the piece. It's a really nice guitar, and I did the same paint job to the logo on the headstock, the truss rod cover. I covered it with paper because it was an ugly gold color. It's the one that came with it originally, if you remember that. And then I vinyled back on the Rickenbacker logo. I just don't have it on right now because I took it into the shop and I didn't want people being like, oh, it's a Rickenbacker knockoff. I wanted them to guess if they saw it. I didn't want them thinking it was an actual Rickenbacker guitar or a knockoff. I don't want to get in trouble for anything like that. But remember, you got to grind down the spring for the tailpiece, or else it'll be way up here. So as you can see, it's not that high. Usually when you get them, they're like up here. So, and I did get the extended jack plate that I got off of a guy on eBay who was making them. He made like a good 50 of them and was selling them cheap because he wanted to get rid of them. But you can find these, I believe, on the same site as you can find the Burns knobs. And if not, you could probably find them on the Rickenbacker parts page. So that's pretty much all the mods I've done. It's a beautiful guitar. Neck is only slightly bent forward, which is how actual Rickenbackers are, I'm told, by my guitar shop. This one stays in tune much better than my other one, just because I replaced the tuning heads. It's a really good sound. As for the knob configuration, I use the same for the 64. I just don't have the little tone knob. Thank you very much for that member on YouTube who's been commenting on all my videos and telling me what knobs are actually what knobs, because he's actually handled the real guitars and I have not, except for a Rickenbacker 325. I think it was a 1991 model, and that was a couple of years ago before I got into collecting guitars. So he's told me that the little knob on the 64 is a tone knob, so that's and it helps blend everything together. And you can read his comments. Go search them out. They're real good. And these knobs, I've just used about half and half here for the pickups, and then the tone-wise, it's about half and half here, and that's just how I get the that Beatles sound, you know. And if I want to get a bit more distortion-y, then you can turn up the volume a little bit. Especially because the middle pickup is disconnected, I get a lot of distortion if I go all the way. Even though I may not hear it in the headphones, it comes out on the recording because it's just a bit too loud and it starts to buzz. So with that, I'm going to do a couple pieces of songs and just do a few chords on each of the different switch settings, and we'll see how this sounds now that I've done all the modifications to it. Well, that's a little bit of how it sounds now. Let me know what you think. Check out the blog link for sure for all details on this, and I'll hopefully be posting some footage of maybe the tribute band that I run playing soon, or even rehearsing. Be kind, none of us look like the actual Beatles. Thanks for watching. This is Stu's How To's with the replica Rickenbacker C58 review.